गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. We are in 526th verse of Vivek Chudamani. Last week we saw Swameva Sarvatha Pashyan Manmana Manyamana Swamadvayam Swanandamano Bhunjanaha Kalam Nayamahamate. O wise one, seeing oneself everywhere and recognizing one to be non-dual, thus remaining in the experience of the blissful self, pass your time in this world. Now, just recapping, the teacher is now recognizing the student, the person who had come to him as a student. Now that student has come to be established in his own essential nature, and who can recognize that? Only the one who is established already can recognize another person. Like that. See? What is motherhood? A spinster will never come to know. Only two mothers can come to know, and they just blink their eyes, it's okay. But if a young girl asks, why did you do that? What was that about? As much as the mother may try to understand, that young girl will not understand until she doesn't become a mother herself. And exactly the same way, the teacher also here acknowledges the wise one. He is no longer saying, "Oh seeker, oh my dear one." He is saying, "Oh wise one." There was one great rishi who gave us the Gayatri mantra, sage Vishwamitra, and he also had an axe to grind against a great sage Vashishta. And for that, because sage Vashishta had the wish fulfilling cow, and there was a famine in the kingdom, and Vishwamitra, he was the king, and he said, "Why don't you give me the cow?" And the sage refused. He said, "You are not qualified," or whatever he said, and he thought that with force he will be able to take it. And whatever ensues, he was not able to take it. Then again he came to attack. At that time again he was not, when he went, he said, a simple cow could defeat me. How is that possible? The entire army came out of the cow. And he goes and does tapasya and gains lot of powers, lot of divine weapons, comes back with them, again attacks the ashram of the sage Vashishta. And this time, if you have seen the Brahma Danda, which the Rishi Munis, that T-shaped wood which they put under their arm to do the japa, that wood, that piece of Brahma, that is called Brahmadand, he put that in the doorway of the ashram, and all the divine weapons that he shot to conquer the ashram were absorbed in that piece of wood. Again he became... No. Who is this? Please mute it. So all of them were absorbed. Then again he went and did tapasya, and eventually he was told, you, because he had the arrogance, he had the ego, he had a fighting spirit. He thought what he was thinking, that he wants to benefit the whole kingdom, the poor people, the homeless people, the the hungry people of his kingdom. By taking this cow, he will benefit the whole kingdom and the poor people. Where was his attention? His attention was on the world. The rule is, world is always like this. It will never stop demanding. You have to stop worrying about the world. It must come to a point in your search, in your journey to the truth, to yourself, that you must stop worrying about the world. Understand, this world has always been like this. It is never satisfied. The golden era, it lasts only for 1 or 2 years or 10 years or whatever number, but very compared to the total time, it's only a short period of time. So anyway, he was told, this king, that only when sage Vashishta says that you are a realized person, we will all accept it. Now he has got a problem. He can't even surrender to him. He has got an animosity with him. But slowly, slowly, that animosity, that knot in his heart is melting. And one day there was a meeting in the heavens, and all the great sages were called for some meeting about to how to maintain the world, how to keep it in balance. And he was also sent an invitation, because now over the years he has also reached that caliber of rishis, that, and because he has given the Gayatri mantra, which is to benefit the whole humanity, so he is also called, because he is a force to reckon with. And when he comes there, and the moment he comes, sage Vashishta calls him Brahma Rishi. Something happens, I can't remember. Maybe Neelakanthan will be able to tell the story another time, but or I can read somewhere and then tell you. But he was told, and sage Vishwamitra fell at the feet of sage Vashishta, and he said, no, you don't do that to me, because get up Brahma Rishi Vishwamitra. He said that way, and from that moment onwards he was declared as Brahma Rishi. Brahma Rishi means the one who knows Brahman, the one who knows the reality, the one who is established in reality. And exactly the same, in that manner, the teacher here, the Adi Shankaracharya, has recognized this student. There are many students there who must have been listening to this discourse. But one of them, it clicked. And what is it? Oh, I want seeing oneself everywhere and recognizing one to be non-dual. This is the journey that was given. First, you withdraw from the world, come to the self, come to be the self, and once we have recognized that we are the one who is never born, who never dies, who is the eternal principle, who is the eternal witness of all that is going on. I am the immaculate, the self is the immaculate one, it is ever blissful, all knowing. Now recognize this self to be all that is pervading in this creation. There is no place that this self is not. So this self, the Satchidanand Swarup Tattva, Tattva means the essence. It alone is the material which has gone into making the creation. Then, and this is what the teacher is telling, that inside also, when the pull comes, just like every night you get a pull to go to sleep, as we become accomplished contemplators, then the pull will come from inside to sit in silence. To be ourselves as we are, in spite of the body, breath, mind, intellect, thoughts, emotions, etc. We just become indifferent to them because the pull is so strong from within. Maybe that is the pull that you have left everything and sitting in front of the screen for 1.5 hours now. It is that pull which has brought you here. But true satsang is not with another. True satsang is with yourself, where our mind is available to that transcendental principle because of which mind is able to think, in whose light the mind is able to think. When mind starts contemplating on that which is beyond its scope of understanding, beyond its scope of comprehension, that is the true satsang. So even though you are not the mind is not understanding it, yet it is pursuing, yet it is single-pointedly, focusedly contemplating about that reality, just as we are doing through these verses. See? And that is true satsang. So again, I have repeated this many times and I'll keep repeating it. Even when we are listening here in this dialogue, where I am speaking and you are listening, your attention, your ears are listening. Your mind is working out, I know this, I don't know this, I have read something like this. You have to refrain from doing that. Become completely available to what is coming to you. And at the same time, while the mind is listening, take the position that I am watching that the mind is listening, is comprehending what is being told. What is being told in these verses, Swameva Sarvata, it will be the next verse, Swananda Bhunjana Kalam Nayam Ahamate. Swananda. So that swa, the self, whenever the teacher says the word self, whenever the teacher says the wise one, anytime the teacher says anything about that transcendental reality, he is talking about not a concept, he is talking about me. That should be our take when we are listening. He is talking about the self that I am. When Vivek Chudamani, teacher, is telling here in so many verses, he is not telling that student, you are the student, I am the student. The mind is the student. See? So here if you take your mind to be the student, then seeing oneself everywhere and recognizing one to be non-dual, thus remaining in the experience of the blissful self, pass your time in this world. So this, just like in the dream, the mind alone becomes the variety of the dream, the emotions, the thoughts, the likes, dislikes, hatred, love, passion, anger, greed, etc., etc., hunger, thirst, waking, dream and sleep in the dream. People are going through time, space, objects, relationships, everything is our mind only. Exactly the same way, even at this moment, we are not talking just about the mind. We are talking about the self. The self alone is expressing as the entire. See? Because waves have come on the ocean or have lived their life and gone away, the water remains the same. Was the wave other than the water? No. Was the water, did the infinite waters become less because so many waves have been formed? No. Have the infinite waters become more in volume because so many waves merged back into the ocean by way of rivers, waves, etc., etc.? No, it continues to maintain itself as it is. Exactly the same is our status as the self. From childhood till now, infinitely, we are undisturbed by what is going on in the world. The self is undisturbed by what is going on in the world. Self is undisturbed by what is going on at the body level. Self is undisturbed by the emotions. Self is undisturbed by the concepts, ideas, imaginations, thoughts. And if you want to go further, self is undisturbed by the repeated cycle of waking, dream, and deep sleep. Self is undisturbed. Only when we identify with something, that identification is an imagination. It is not the reality. Reality is only one, and that is your essential nature. And that is all inclusive. You can put it both ways, all inclusive and all exclusive at the same time. And coming to this recognition about our own essential nature, the teacher is saying, see the self within and see the self without. And pass your time in this world. Don't take anything in this world seriously. See? So how do we, as this wisdom dawns on us about our own essential nature, that is the wisdom, then when the wisdom, the knowledge, this is that knowledge knowing which nothing else remains to be known. When this knowledge matures, the seeker comes to be established in his own essential nature, then what happens? Then in such a person, the knowledge necessarily. So, what has happened to the student? The student knows that he exists. First, he knew that he exists, but now he knows himself as the pure existence. And when knowledge and existence, the Sat and Chit, when they become one, he understands existence also I am and the knowledge also I am. Knowledge is not at the thought level. And existence is not only at the body level. Body level existence comes and goes. Every day your body is changing. Every moment your breath is changing. Every moment your thought is changing. So what is that existence which does not change? He has come to be established in that. We are established in that even right now. But we are not conscious of it. Because we cannot be outside the existence. Everything exists. Now this student has come to be established in that existence as the self, consciously. And when these two combine, when you become conscious of your true self, not conscious of your body, not conscious of your mind, not conscious of the idea that I am the self, but now he is conscious of the self as it is. When this happens, then the third thing comes about. What is that? Bliss. And when that bliss starts percolating within the bosom of such a seeker, of such a established one, and it will start happening even as you are moving in that direction. It fully matures when you are established consciously, but even as you keep on the journey towards the self through contemplation, meditation, japa sadhana, etc. But here we are pursuing the path of knowledge. As you come closer and closer to the self, to that extent the bliss of your being will start expressing. Then how do I say, how will that bliss express through us? Will it be just ha ha hoo hoo, I don't care? Yes, it does happen, I don't care. But more so, such a person who has not established, as he's on that journey, teachers tell us that Vedanta must be practiced, knowledge must be practiced within yourself. Knowledge should not be practiced to teach others. So here we are teaching our own mind. This must be very clear. Whether there is one person listening or 10% listening, it does not matter. The first student for this contemplation on Vivek Chudamani is our own mind. Excuse me, is our own mind. So knowledge must be practiced, Vedanta must be practiced in our own life, on ourselves. And till we have not established in the self, whatever you do, whether you sit in Nirvikalpa Samadhi or meditation or remain locked up due to coronavirus, sometime you will come out into the kitchen or go out to the wherever, shopping, this, that. Or people come to meet you, or you go to meet people as it relaxes. Then what will happen? Then the bliss. So knowledge has to be applied on ourselves. And when we interact with people, do we give them knowledge? If just now I met someone just half an hour ago, he said, "Oh, Swamiji, please pray." I said, "What happened?" "Oh, my mother is fallen unconscious in the balcony. She's got a vertigo problem and she's in hospital and he can't go back to India. Now what do we do?" I said, "Oh, we'll pray." And I just met him and we had a bit of chat and he went away. Just a few words. No, at that time, "Oh, vertigo. Oh, there is nothing called vertigo. It's only a mental construct, man. Don't worry about it. The thing like this happens." You can't say that to that person. If someone has passed away, or soul never dies, the self never dies, don't worry about it. You must remain equanimous. It doesn't work that way. You must share their pain, you must share their... So when we are interacting with the world, we interact with the world with love, with compassion, with empathy, with joy. There don't become a knowledgeable person, don't become a Vedanti at that time. See? Practice the knowledge on yourself, that I must not get disturbed if something like that happens to me. But when it happens to someone else, no. Whatever the situation demands, do that. Because the whole world is not other than Paramatma. And slowly you will start seeing that in and every person, object, time, space, there is a carefree attitude. That is why we get attracted towards Mahatmas. They never compete with you in your miseries. They never talk about their miseries. They only are concerned about you. In fact, when we are in their presence, we forget about our miseries also. Why? Because they are established from that in themselves, where the effulgence of everything is all right. That effulgence is spreading far and wide, and when we come into their periphery, we also feel everything is all right. See? You go to Tiruvannamalai, 30-35 kilometers away, you know you are entering into a different zone. Suddenly something shifts. You go to Haridwar, suddenly something shifts. You go to certain temples, not all temples, certain temples. You go inside and suddenly your mind is automatically calm. Exactly the same way, every Mahatma that we come across, if there is respect and reverence there, or even if not, but you will feel some effect of that Mahatma who is established in his essential nature. And therefore, here it says, Swananda Manu Bhunjanaha Kalam Naya Mahamate. So, Swananda, having seeing oneself everywhere and recognizing one to be non-dual. So, non-duality should not be practiced on other people. Non-duality has to be practiced within our bosom. And what do you practice outside? Devotion. And how does devotion express towards the world? Seva, service. Whom are you serving? You are serving the creation which is not other than God. Because in every object there is existence, in every living being there is consciousness. So your attention must be on that, not on the form. So you serve, serve, serve. The non-duality has to be practiced on one's own self and swam advayam, and thus swananda, and thus remaining in the bliss of the self. Kalam naya mahamate, pass your time. See, continuing in the 426th verse. अखंड बोधात्मनि निर्विकल्पे, अखंड बोधात्मनि निर्विकल्पे, विकल्पनं व्योम्नि पुरः प्रकल्पनं, विकल्पनं व्योम्नि पुरः प्रकल्पनं, तदद्वयानन्दमयात्मना सदा, तदद्वयानन्दमयात्मना सदा, शान्तिं परामेत्य भजस्व मौनम्, शान्तिं परामेत्य भजस्व मौनम्, अखण्डबोधात्मनि निर्विकल्पे, विकल्पनं व्योम्नि पुरः प्रकल्पनं, तदद्वयानन्दमयात्मना सदा, Shantim parametya bhajasva maunam. He says the possibility of the experience of multiplicity of opposite nature in the unbroken conscious self is like the projection of castles in the air. Therefore, abiding firmly in the non-dual blissful self, attaining supreme peace, remain in utter silence. So, akhanda, again this word has come quite a few times in the last section also. Akhanda, homogeneous. Akhanda bodhatmani, homogeneous knowledge of the self, in the self, as the self. Nirvikalpe. And when does it come about? It comes about when your mind has no other option left, meaning no thoughts. Nirvikalpe. No thoughts doesn't mean no thought. Initial stages doesn't mean absence of thoughts. In yoga and all we say nirvikalpa samadhi. Nirvikalpa samadhi, you can get into samadhi only when there are no thoughts in your mind. True. But in the path of knowledge, the nirvikalpa can come about not by physically and focusing inside and going, because eventually the self is inside and outside. There is no place self is not. Then what is the obstacle in you recognizing yourself? Vikalpa. Vikalpa is the thought. See? So, do we need to destroy the thoughts? Do we need to dissolve the thoughts? Does the wave need to destroy its form of a wave in order to realize the water? And once it has realized the water, can it will the form continue or will the form vanish? See, question to be pondered upon. So what we mean here by nirvikalpa means where you are not available to the erupting thoughts in the mind. You are totally initially you are indifferent, and when you are indifferent, whether thoughts are there or not there, it does not matter. We see Mahatmas, once they have realized, they still have the body, they still complain of their diseases, they still get angry, they still get hungry, they still express those thoughts, they still see, hear, touch, feel, taste. So have they lost their realization then? See? No, we are not talking. So we have to understand nirvikalpa means where the self, if it gets identified with any thought construct, then the individuality comes about. In this contemplation, the mind is thinking about the self, thinking about the source of the I. What is the nature of the I? What is that because of which I am, the mind is saying this. What is that because of which I am thinking? Mind is saying, huh? What is that because of which I am thinking? It cannot be me because I am the effect. I have come about only because of the union of consciousness and matter. What is that consciousness? What is that pure consciousness? And when it keeps thinking about it, just like when you keep thinking about the sleep, this thought is coming many times because it's very similar. When we keep thinking about the sleep, undisturbed by the demands, sometimes the thoughts are coming about tomorrow, what you have to do, what you don't have to do, etc., etc., some project that is going on. But in spite of all the thoughts going on, our attention is only on the sleep. Right now also, in your room, so many things are there. But your attention, in spite of all those distractions, your attention is only on the talk. Similarly, the seeker, here the word used is swananda. He is in the bliss of the self. Now, we are in the nirvikalpa we are talking about. By having focused on the self in spite of the thoughts. Because we don't have to control the thoughts and stop them from erupting in our mind is an artificial condition. Understand this, which can be brought about by pranayam, it can be brought about by japa sadhana. But when you go from Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti and on, afterwards again the thoughts will come. You cannot stop them from coming. After Nirvikalpa Samadhi, when you come out, again the world is there. The thoughts of the world will be there. The thought of stretching your legs, standing up, stretching, I have been sitting, how long I have been sitting, time enters. Hunger comes, thirst comes, the thought of the world will enter you. So we are not talking about nirvikalpa in an artificial way, a forced way. No, not a forced way. We are not worried about our attention. See, if thought is a problem, thinking is a problem, if thought is that which is stopping me from being me, then I cannot use something else other than thought to find a solution for it. Then what have I done? I started, I have started in a committed manner contemplating on the thought of the self initially and understanding what the self means, what the self constitutes, what is its grandeur, what is its scope, what is its pervasiveness, what is its nature. And for that we study the scriptures. But our folk, all the words that we have studied here are only about the self. So we get focused on the self. We're not worried about other words, other thoughts that are coming in the mind by way of default. No, we just get focused on the self. Because we are not able to focus on the self, we go for artificial means. Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Tratak, Pranayam. I can't focus on the self. How can you focus on sleep then? Every night? Why suddenly all the obstacles, difficulties come only when the topic of self is there? Which is your nature. Sleep nobody knows. Yet we are able to focus on sleep. And that which we are, that we are not able to focus on. Stupidity. see the maze that we have created in our own mind by our wrong thinking. So here Nirvikalpa is not about removing the thoughts. No. First we become indifferent. And how do we become indifferent? By focusing only on the self. And in that process, while we are focusing on the self, even through the scriptures, now all these words are thoughts in our mind at this moment. Allow them and let them go. Don't hold on to any verse, don't hold on to any thought, don't hold on to any idea. But what they are indicating, what are they indicating? The self. Now, don't keep the self as a thought in your mind. Let the mind use the word Swananda, bliss of the self. But then be it. Because that word self is indicating the essence. The essence of this mechanism, and it is the essence of the entire creation. That I am. Full stop. Akhanda bodhatmani nirvikalpe vikalpanam vyomni purakalpanam. So, here the example is given. They say, just like we build castles in the air, we imagine shapes, we imagine forms, we imagine, so many people do meditation like this. Imagine you are on the banks of a beautiful lake in the Himalayas, which are absolutely green, and you can see the snow-peaked mountains, a cool breeze coming, and this meditator, he starts feeling cold. Because the suggestion is, he's available to the suggestion. Similarly, just like if we tell the ghost stories to the young kids, and we tell, when I was going there, and suddenly the ghost hung down from the branch, and he asked me, and I froze, and the more dramatized way you tell the story, those children, they freeze at that moment, or they scream. If I scream, they will scream. And they don't stop there. They continue imagining the ghost in the dream. Just like we continue to imagine the world in our dream. Dream, waking dream, deep sleep. What is dream? Building castles in the air. When I used to work, I had an employee. He had a dream to become one of the, tennis players representing Australia. But the attitude, even if you have to have the right attitude. You have to go to the gym, you have to exercise, you have to commit to the training. And when a person is on fire, like if a person wants that type of a goal to be achieved, then he has to be alert. He will be doing whatever is required. He wanted the money to pay for his lessons, but he will not work 100%. Eventually I have to throw him out. See? So we have to, uh, so he just all the time, if the work is there, suddenly he will stop working and his eyes are open or closed and he is imagining that he is playing tennis, that he is against Boris Becker or he is against Federer. He hasn't even reached the what you call state championships, but he's imagining about that. A person who cannot be in the present moment and do what is required to be done, he's only building castles in the air. Some people tell me that they want to retire by the time they are 40, they want to retire. And they are working towards it. And then they lose the job. And the whole world. So what were they doing before? And having a what you call pregnant imagination about how the future is going to be. I'm going to free, then I'm going to go on to spirituality. After 40 they're going to go into spirituality. All imaginations. We are also living, I'm just giving you one or two examples, we are also doing the same thing. One day after finishing Vivek Chudamani, I will come to realize no, it is here and now. And just like the castles in the air, as much as the dream is an imagination of the mind, the teacher is telling us this waking experience of which includes the waking world is also a mere imagination of the mind. Don't take it too seriously. That is why it was told in the previous verse, Kalam Naya Mahamate. Pass your time in this world without likes and dislikes. Allow whatever happens, let it happen. Don't you remain focused on the essence, that's all. Anyone who has an itch to achieve something in this world and yet is wanting the truth, until and unless this itch is not, he doesn't grow out of that itch, he will not be able to know the truth. It's just like that dog who is given he finds a bone and keeps chewing on that bone and thinks that he has got a prize catch. Actually, that dry bone with no flesh, he is chewing on it. You must have all seen this many times. What he is enjoying is his own blood, which is caused due to the lacerations in the inside of his mouth due to the dry bone. And he keeps sucking and sucking and sucking, and when you go to take it away, if someone comes to take away our wealth, our wife, our children, our possessions, whatever importance you have given to anything in your life, the more the importance, the more the growl. But what we are chewing on is that dry bone. See? So the teacher has said, this waking world is also nothing but a figment of imagination of the mind, and which we have taken it to be real. Tad advayanandayatma tad advayanandamayatmana sada shantim parametya bhajasva maunam. Therefore, abiding firmly in the Advayananda, which is none other than the self. Advayananda, the non-dual reality, the bliss of the non-duality of the self, that I am, remaining there, abiding in the self, abiding in the true being, in the spirit, whichever word you may use, firmly, without any doubt, steadily. And then he says, attaining supreme peace, remain in utter silence. Shantim, peace, parametya bhajasva maunam. See? Transcendental peace, transcendental shanti. Bhajasva maunam. And bhajasva, what does bhajasva? Serve there are different meanings of bhajasva. Bhaja means to serve, bhaj means to pray, bhaj means, what else bhaj means? I know these two meanings. If third one comes,
celebrate the silence.
Celebrate bolo. Celebrate. What do you do? Maunam. Maunam is silence. Celebrate the silence. Listen to the silence. Revel in the silence. Sing the glory of the silence. How can you sing the glory of the silence? By being silent. See? And that alone will give us the transcendental peace. And we have a live example. And that was Bhagwan Ramana Maharishi. See? So in this way, abiding firmly in the non-dual blissful self, attaining supreme peace, remain in utter silence. See? You can just take one verse and you can, whole life is not enough. You can keep contemplating on this one verse or the previous verse or the previous one, or any of those verses from the previous section, experience of reality of the student. Take any one of them. Every day you take one and sit, or take one till it becomes completely clear, then start the second one at a different angle of looking at the same thing. These are all pointers. Words can only point us to the truth that we are. Words are not the truth. As a seeker, I am saying, from infinite's point of view, everything is it only. Everything is it only. But if we who feel we are limited, who feel we are limited by, conditioned by space-time objectivity, who feel we are limited by body, breath, mind, intellect, thoughts, emotions, concepts, ideas, imaginations. See? All this is, while being a seeker, to realize that this entire plethora of the world, the entire gamut of the world, that it is nothing but the reality, it is impossible. As a wave cannot recognize that it is pervading the entire ocean and all the zillions of waves on the water. It can never come to know that. Only when, in contemplation of its nature, what is its nature? Water. In that contemplation, it loses its body identification. What is the losing of the body identification? It loses its waveness and realizes that it is nothing but water. And from the water's point of view, well, we can say from water's point of view, there is no ocean and no wave also. Let's take one step lower. It merges into the ocean. It comes to realize the ocean. Then it realizes that ocean is expressing in and through every wave. Whether there is wave or no wave, ocean is complete. No wave can appear without an ocean. But for that, the wave has to give up its waveness, and that waveness is not is removed as a suicide. No, it is offered. That waveness is offered as a surrender at the altar of the total waters, which is called ocean. So whether we surrender ourselves, our individuality, this I, at the altar of the Lord or at the altar of the Advaya Tattva, the non-dual truth, then alone the vision will change. And for the vision to be transformed, we have to get out of the way. And why are we there? Because we have identified with the thoughts. Body is a thought, mind is a thought is a thought. At this moment, self is also a thought. World is a thought. Waking dream and sleep are a thought. Waker, waking world, waking experience is a thought. God is also a thought. Infinity is, everything is a thought for us. And as long as we are identified with the thought, we have not given up our ness. I-ness, we have not given up. So it's a very subtle dissection. So we are using the thoughts to remove other thoughts. And then in the end, what is left? Only one thought. What is that? I thought. And we are so focused on the I thought that nothing else remains in that bright luster of the essence. What is its of the nature, the essence of the I, the true nature of the I. And after that, story is over. Then such a person will not want. We see some people, yogis and all, who have accessed this similar silence in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. When they come out, they seek silence. They don't want to be disturbed by anyone. They don't want to be touched by anyone. They want to eat food only from the hands of a brahmachari, a pure person. But such is not the case with truly realized masters. Truly, the reason saying, not just Nirvikalpa Samadhi. See, Gajanan Maharaj was eating the food from the mouth of the dog. For him, that was prasad. Who can say it is prasad? Who sees the dog not as a dog, but as Paramatma, as the divine? Shirdi Sai Baba gives the food to the dog and feels satisfied. Who can feel that way? A mother can. A child is happy, mother feels happy. If the child is fed, she feels full. But that's where we are limited. But that is also out of attachment. You want to be attached? Attach with the whole world. not with only me and mine. You want to detach? Don't detach with only whom you dislike and remain attached with whom you like. No, you want to detach with every damn thing in this creation. You have to do everything fully. Little bit, then you are creating a problem. And that's what we have created, a problem for ourselves. Whatever we like, we are attached to. Whatever we dislike, we are detached to. So here the teacher is saying, Akhanda bodhatmani nirvikalpe vikalpanam vyomni purak prakalpanam tad advayanandamayatmana sada shantim parametya bhajasva maunam. Therefore, continue to, Subramaniam's words, celebrate the silence of this transcendental peace by sada, always staying in that non-dual blissful self that you truly are. Everything else, all the names and forms, time, space, objectivity, everything is an imagination of the mind. Give it zero value, because everything is changing. Only the self is not changing. It is ever the same. And this is your experience also at this moment. Continuing, Tushnim avastha paramopashantihi. Tushnim avastha paramopashantihi. Buddhera satkalpa vikalpa hetoh. Buddhera satkalpa vikalpa hetoh. Brahmatmana brahmavido mahatmano. Brahmatmana brahmavido mahatmano. Yatra dvayananda sukham nirantaram. Yatra dvayananda sukham nirantaram. Tushnim avastha paramopashantihi. Buddhera satkalpa vikalpa hetoh. Brahmatmana brahmavido mahatmano. Yatra dvayananda sukham nirantaram. The quietening of the modifications of the intellect by its merging in the Brahman, which is the cause of projections of illusions, is the supreme withdrawal for those who are established in the Brahman. It is because of this they are forever established in the non-dual self. In short, it is our intellect which has given, accepted, become convinced that there is a world. It is our intellect which has become convinced that I am a body. It has become convinced that if I don't breathe, I will die. It has become convinced that if I am not able to remember, I am having Alzheimer's or dementia. It has become convinced. See? All the process is on the path of spirituality to convince this intellect that it is of the nature of the self and merge it, then it will recognize. Remember, we say all this, intellect is not outside the self. Self is all pervasive. So it is pervading in and through the intellect also. In and through every emotion also. In and through every matter also. In and through every conditioning, every limitation, time, everything is pervaded by the self, by the Brahman. There is no place that it is not. And yet we are not experiencing it. Why? Because we are not convinced. The face of the intellect, the intellect can go only two ways. Either it is facing towards the self or it is facing towards the world. When it is facing towards the world, it goes through waking dream and deep sleep. See? Who goes through these three experiences? The intellect. It cannot be the body which is going through waking dream and deep sleep. It is not the emotions of the mind which are going through waking dream and deep sleep. These three are concepts in your intellect. Intellect is not formed in the knee of your leg. Concepts are formed in the intellect. And as long as this intellect is extrovert, till then it is going through the cyclical experience of waking dream, deep sleep, waking dream, deep sleep, waking dream, deep sleep. It gets an opportunity. This intellect gets an opportunity when it interacts with the waking and dream, which is nothing but an imagination, castle in the air, and taking it to be real, just like kids, if they have dreamed something horrible and they get up with a fright and they are unable to go back to sleep because the moment they close their eyes, they see the same horrible character again in their dream. They are unable to delink themselves from it. Same way, exactly the same thing is happening to us. We are unable to delink ourselves from the waking experience. So we are again and again, we come back to this. We are making believe that we are coming back into the same world. It is not the same world, Baba. Everything has changed. Everything that you see, hear, touch, feel, taste, think, imagine, everything has changed. Nothing has remained the same after a good night's sleep. But we insist that it is the same world. See, this is our issue. So the self is pervading in and through everything. There is nothing outside the self. But the intellect, yes, I was saying, this intellect, because it has taken the waking dream to be real, it carries the load of the memories, it carries the load of responsibilities, it carries the load of success, it carries the load of security, it carries the load of possessions, it carries the load of relationships, nears and dears, extended family, friends, enemies, all that load of planning for the future. All that is a load on the on the waker. And he is tired, man. Like you will be tired after some 1 or 2 hours more. And the intellect, we are talking about intellect here. The intellect wants to drop the load, enough of carrying it. I'm tired now. I want to experience bliss. In fact, it is exhausted carrying the load. All that I just mentioned. And slowly, and it only knows one place, sleep, where it can download everything. So it puts away all the load and goes into the arms of the bliss. But it has gone into the arms of the bliss unconsciously. It has gone into the arms of the bliss, still keeping the body identification intact, the relationships intact in its mind. And therefore, all that which it was interacting with, it has not sorted it out. All that has happened is, all that it was identified with, it has become unmanifest, and unconsciously it has gone into the intellect we are talking about, has gone into a zero zone. It did not go into sleep thinking of the self. It went into sleep thinking of the world. Change the equation. Go to sleep thinking of the self. See what will happen. You will not be able to sleep only. Then you will say, Swamiji, little bit sleep was we are getting, that also you are taken away. Now what do we do? This is only because you have taken the world to be real, this question will come, if it comes. See? And that's why so many people who do not get sleep at night, mind is quiet, they feel they are awake all night, but they were not dreaming, they were not disturbed by any thoughts. But when they get up in the morning, they feel they were awake all night, and I think something is going wrong, and they go and start taking tablets. Big disservice to their own mind. Because they don't know how to recognize it. They were in the zone. If you are not tired the next day, you are not exhausted, you are refreshed, which means you had a conscious sleep. Go ahead, pray to Lord that it happens every day. This is how a yogi is living. When the whole world sleeps, the yogi is awake. When the whole world is awake, the yogi is sleeping. To what? He is sleeping to the names and forms. He is awake to himself. So knowingly or unknowingly, that has happened to such people who are awake at night, but the mind is rested. And the next day there is no tiredness, which means everything was fine. Why make it into a problem? So normal person goes to sleep thinking about the world. Go to sleep. Allow the mind to sleep. Allow the intellect to sleep. In contemplation of the self, the Atman. Then what will happen? This is what will happen. Tushnim avastha paramopashantihi buddhera satkalpa vikalpa heto. The modifications of the intellect will automatically start subsiding. Its obsession with concepts, ideas, waking, dream, deep sleep, time, space, objectivity, seeing, hearing, touching, feeling, tasting, emotions, likes, dislikes, all this will start just dissolving away from it. Why? The intellect is contemplating on that which is the essence of all this. It has worked it out by exposure to the scriptures and applying and seeing that happening to itself. You have to experiment with it. It has come to this conclusion, it's not worth running after the world which can give me only temporary joys. So it goes after the self now. It commits itself to the self. It's focused on the self. And just like you are focused on the sleep every night. So it's focused on the self, and the intellect does not go to sleep. See? So what happens in sleep? The intellect becomes free of all thoughts as a surrender to sleep, and the veil of ignorance takes over. Now we are creating the same condition, but we are going to be awake. We are not allowing the veil of ignorance to come over, the Maya, the Avyakt to come and take over. We bypass it. See? So when the modifications of the intellect subside, here it says paramopashantihi, then and when will the intellect completely all the ideas, concepts, thoughts, when will they completely subside in the intellect? Only when it has surrendered itself with conviction, with knowledge, at the altar of the reality or altar of the self. It is thinking, I am the self, I am the self, I am the self. It's not thinking, oh, after I come to know the self, then I will be invincible in this world and I will make myself the emperor of this whole creation. This is what Ravana did. This is what Kamsa did. This is what Jarasandha did. This is what Hiranyakashipu did. They went, meditated, contemplated on the Supreme with the body identification. And they wanted to be immortal. With the body we can never be immortal, because body itself is coming and going every moment. It's changing. See? So, and this intellect is the cause of projections, of illusions. So, buddhe rasa kalpa vikalpa hetoho. The intellect, don't give the intellect the choice of enjoying. This is good, this is bad. This is auspicious, this is inauspicious. That this house should be facing east, this house should be facing west, then the house is auspicious. वास्तु शांति, oh by God, आजकल तो बड़ा business है इसका. बुद्धि, this is the buddhi. The buddhi has got hooked into it. Directions are only possible on the earth. Go outside the earth, no directions. So question is, what do you consider yourself as? Do you consider yourself as an individual, or do you consider yourself as the all-pervasive Atma? What has your intellect got convinced about? If it has got convinced about that it is the all-pervasive Atma, it is pervading the universe, then directions have got no meaning. Then likes and dislikes have got no meaning. Then praise and insult have got no meaning. Then auspicious, inauspicious has got no meaning. Then involvement and withdrawal has got no meaning. See? For whom? That intellect which has lost its identity as an intellect. Think, Baba, these are thoughts worthy of contemplation. We are not talking about a concept. We are talking about you. This intellect, it enjoys rasa. It enjoys getting attached to likes, or gets attached to dislikes, attached to auspicious, attached to inauspicious. And this way it keeps collecting data and keeps revolving in that data, because that is its identity. Stop. Give it only one identity. And that identity is, oh intellect, you are pervaded by the supreme reality, by the non-dual self, and the only way you are going to come to know is by surrendering to it. Just like you surrender to sleep, you surrender to this reality, which is your essence, which is making you think, which is making you become convinced, which is allowing you to conceptualize. तूष्णीम अवस्था परमोपशांति बुद्धेरसत्कल्प विकल्प हेतो, and which is the cause of projections of illusions. बुद्धे रसत कल्प विकल्प हेतो हो. Then ब्रह्मात्मना ब्रह्मविदो महात्मनो is the supreme withdrawal for those who are established in the Brahmatmana. He who's established in the Atma and knows that it is not other than Brahman. Infinite reality accessed at the equipment, within the equipment, through the conditionings. As we have withdrawn from the conditionings of body, breath, mind, intellect, and we feel that there is some life force which is inside us, that is Atma. But he has come to know that this Atma alone is the infinite. That this Atma alone is one without a second. This Atma alone is the one which is expressing in and through every being, past, present or future. This is our true nature, Brahmatmana, Brahmavido, and he knows it. It is not a fanciful imagination of his intellect, he knows it. So he who knows Brahman is Brahman. He is not knowing it as a concept. He is not knowing Brahman or Atma as an idea, as a conviction. No. He knows it without the what do you call? Without the thoughts. Vrittirahit jnanam. Before, as long as intellect was functional, it can only think through thoughts. Here also we are using such wonderful words are given by Shankaracharya ji, and we are using the thoughts and we are using our intellect to understand and expand on it, etc., etc. But what is this? Brahmatmana Brahmavido Mahatmano. It is knowledge of the self, by the self, for the self, without the agency of thoughts. Do you need to think to say you are? Or in spite of thinking you are? See? So we don't need to, we are not continuously saying I am. Or I forgot I was. I am. That's stupidity. Buddhu. Brahmatmana Brahmavido Mahatmano Yatra Advayananda Sukham Nirantaram. And having directly aparoksha anubhuti, having directly come, imagine, this is just a thought, okay? Intellect coming face to face with the self, just like you come face to face with mirror, what do you see? You see your true reflection or opposite reflection, isn't it? Here we are not going into opposite, or you see your reflection. As long, and when is the reflection clear? If the mirror is clean. If the mirror is dirty, it will be a caricature of your reflection. It will not be the exact complete reflection. Similarly, if the intellect has even one thought, the reflection of the self in the intellect is not as it is. If there is one wave in the waters and the moon is shining, that one wave will make the moon reflection dance. Isn't it? But when there is no wave, the reflection is complete. Exactly. the same manner. The intellect, having come face to face with the self by contemplating on it, focusing on it, surrendering to it, whichever way you may put, nididhyasan, meditating on it, it has come face to face. And it comes to this conclusion, the intellect, that why am I talking about that which I already am? Why am I thinking about that I am the self, I am the self? Why am I making this statement when I am already it? That last thought also, that was what told before. Where are we? Shantim parametya bhajasva maunam. In that silence, it becomes silent. The intellect becomes thought free. The intellect has not gone to sleep. It is wide awake. The avaran has not, the veil of ignorance has not taken over, because it was conscious. And the reflection, the self, which is, this is just a concept we are giving you. It doesn't happen anything like that. See? And the reflection of the self in the intellect is immaculate, because there is no wave, there is no corruption in the mirror of the intellect. This is the first stage. This is the first stage. This is not the final stage. Then the next stage is you have to study Vedanta more deeply. Then you have to understand that the material out of which the intellect is made, the material out of which the emotions are made, the material out of which the body is made, the material out of which the whole creation is made, is not other than the self. So you are already one step ahead, because we have already been reading that. We have been studying that. Question is, are we convinced about it? Convinced to such an extent that the world does not have any attraction for our intellect. That each one of us has to ask ourselves. See? Yatra advayananda sukham nirantaram. Nirantaram, continuously. Sukham, in bliss, in happiness, in joy. Ananda, bliss. Advayananda, non-dual bliss. Such a person, who is this person? Brahmatmana, Brahmavido, Mahatmanaha. So he who knows that Atma and Brahman, the individuality in the individual self and the infinite self are one and the same. Brahmatmana, Brahmavido, and he knows it. And how does he know it? Thought free, by continuous abidance. Such a Mahatma is wherever he is, continuously he experiences the bliss of non-duality. See how beautiful verses are these. Tushnim avastha paramopashantihi buddhera satkalpa vikalpa hetoh brahmatmana brahmavido mahatmano yatradvayananda sukham nirantaram. We are, as seekers, see, who is a seeker? If we are all seekers, what determines that we are a seeker, and what should be our disposition. Whom do we call a seeker? Now, if we have got 24 hours, and out of which I can't do anything about sleep or dream, but in the waking, say about 15, 16 hours in a day, 17 hours, how many hours in that 17 hours are we attentive? I can only use this word. Are we attentive towards the essence? Without going into any special meditation or reading books or no. How many times are we attentive towards the self, the source, the essence?
Hardly ever, Swamiji, unfortunately.
That will determine whether we are seeker or not. So now assess. There is nothing right or wrong. Assess. If right now out of 17 hours, if out of 17 hours, 10 hours I am attentive towards the world. Oh sorry, why say take? 16 hours I am attentive towards the world. 1 hour I am attentive. Every now and then the thought pops up. I spend maybe few seconds, few minutes. Now today already 1.5 hours, whether you like it or not, your mind is available to the self for the 1.5 hours, you see. So like that, so how many out of 17, 1.5 gone, how much left? 15.5 hours. You were attentive towards the world. If in this lecture also you are attentive towards the speech and not the self which is being indicated through every verse, then you are attentive 17 hours towards the world only. Now this equation needs to change.
Swamiji.
And it cannot happen because today we are living in the world of instant gratification. So it is not going to happen. You wish and it happens. It will not happen that way. You have to work towards it consciously. You have to work towards it slowly and steadily. Just like when we go to sleep also, we work. We are not obsessed with sleep. We are not shunning away the world. We continue to live in the world, but the sleep is pulling, so automatically our activity all gets directed towards the sleep, isn't it? Automatically. Exactly. That's what has happened in our life. That all our activity has got geared towards contemplation of the self. See? So this shift in our attention while living in this world, everything is going on. Don't think that you are doing it, man. Nothing we can do. Everything is happening. You become attentive of that, because of which everything is going on. Initial steps. Seeker is born. If he is attentive towards the source, if he is attentive towards that without which he cannot be alive or she cannot be alive, she will be declared dead, be attentive towards that essence, towards that principle. If we are attentive, seeker is born. Slowly, slowly, keep building up. First 10 seconds, half a minute, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And this is how we create a habit. A person looks at a girl first time, feels, oh, I think that will make a good wife for me. Then he finds ways, writes letters, comes in her line of vision, calls, and slowly, slowly he keeps building the idea in his mind that she is the right one for me. It doesn't happen just like that. even in arranged marriage, same thing happens. You learn to accept. So this is arranged marriage through the scriptures of individual with the infinite. So we are being led. Chal bhai, suli pe chad ja. Climb the cross. Renuka, what you were saying?
Swamiji, that I have this doubt. Although this is my feeling, Swamiji, although that I am attentive towards the world throughout the time, but somehow in the background that I feel that about this something is there, Swamiji. I don't know how to explain, but it's not all the time. Throughout the time, I am the self is also reminding me something like that. I don't know. I'm not totally with the world.
Yeah, nobody is totally with the world. Every night they are not with the world.
It's not in the waking time, Swamiji. In the waking time, although that I am dealing with the world, in the background something is reminding me
That you are.
that you are. Yeah.
So that you are. If you are that, then you will not be talking about what you are talking right now.
What is that, Swamiji?
If you are that,
No, I'm not that completely. I don't think that I am that.
but if you think you are not that completely, yeah, you are right. I can't say no, because that is your conclusion. Your intellect had decided that you are not that. What can anyone do? God also cannot do anything.
if,
You have to get our intellect has to become convinced.
yeah.
But we want an experience. We want some symptoms. We want something to happen out of the world. It is nothing like that.
Yeah.
So that self has always been. It cannot be. You can't say that only after realization the self is. Even right now the self is.
Yeah.
So that every person, knowingly or unknowingly, is that all the time. Some are one with their with themselves more often. Some are never with themselves because they are totally with the identifications.
Okay.
So maybe you are accessing that gap every now and then, and that feels that. So it's coming out as the statements that you are saying just now. So continue that way, but because maybe of the job, because of the family life, because of whatever, 100 different reasons are there. But we cannot run away from them. We have to keep performing, but we have to increase our focus,
Ability.
increase our availability of our intellect
Yeah.
that towards that principle,
Yeah.
towards that principle. And the more we do it, automatically sometime you will just be, just like sleep pulls you in, it will pull you in. Go and sit in silence with that, where you are with yourself, and continue. Then again the world will try to take over the mind. But don't lose the plot. Now with the new information, with the abidance or with the glimpse or with meditation, your mind must calm down. And how do you know that it is expressing? When we are not moving through this world creating likes and dislikes. We don't live a life of ups and downs, of joys and sorrows. We don't live a life of judgment. We don't live a life of biasness. When we are seeing everything, but we accept it as an expression of the divine, the glory of the divine, this transformation, initially, if that transformation has not come, we start believing it. We have to become convinced of it. So inside, we become available to the principle, the self, the immaculate self. And when we come out, we start living a non-reactionary life. That will be its and non-reactionary life means accepting everything just as it is. Does not mean because now I had the glimpse, so I must be more compassionate, so I must give more donation, or I must love more, or feed more. That let the Lord decide that, however it has to express. But main disposition is a reaction free life. Nothing in the world creates an agitation in our mind. That agitation is a thought. See? And even if that thought does appear, there is no one to own it, because we have come to know that we are the transcendental one. So the words do not make do justice to that experience. Words will never do the justice to that direct experience, the one who is established. See? We can only say it in so many words. But the expression of that will be that we do not react, we do not get affected by what is going on in the world, because we know the self is all pervasive and the world is perfect. World is perfect not as name and form, but in the essence the world is perfect. The nature of the name and form is to come and go. Because name and form, if you say they are perfect, we want name and form to be perfect. It is not possible. Because gold is perfect, ornament cannot be perfect. It will be melted over a period of time. Mud is perfect, pot can never be perfect. It will break down as the time passes. Water is perfect, wave can never be perfect. It can be beautiful, but it is not perfect. But in essence, the essence of the wave is water. So when we say the world is perfect, immediately our attention goes, oh, my wife is perfect, my husband is perfect, my children are perfect. How can you say the war is perfect, the coronavirus is perfect? This is where our attention goes. We are not talking about the name and form. We are talking about the essence. Just like the self is the essence of this, of ours, which is perfect. Body is not perfect. Mind is not perfect. The essence because of which these equipments are functioning, that is the perfect principle, without which body, breath, mind, intellect have no existence. See? So same way, what is that because of which the entire world, the entire creation is existing as names and forms? What is that? That is Brahman. That was told in it's already time. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Sit quietly for 30 seconds. Hari Om. Sorry, I lost the track of time there.